Hey everybody, greetings. This is Courtney Starhart. I'm going to be doing a series of educational videos about working with plant medicine. It seems like everybody today wants to work with entheogens and it's the hot thing. I've actually been doing this for a long time and I have access to the cultural information which my teacher passed on to me, which was part of our tradition, okay? So what happens is when you're looking for a plant medicine ceremony, there are certain questions that you should probably ask. Whether you end up coming to me or you go to somebody else, I want you to have a really good experience. So there are 4 tips that I've written down for how you can find yourself a good plant medicine ceremony. First of all, probably ask yourself the question, what is a ceremony? I think most people don't even know what a ceremony is. So let's start there. Well, we can start with plant medicine too. Entheogens, ayahuasca, peyote, psilocybin. Bufo is on the list now, is on the menu with a lot of people, so we should address that as well. All of these are what's considered entheogens, which means to bring you closer to God. So plant medicine and then ceremony. Ceremony is the cultural piece. That's where I come in, and my teachers and his teachers and their teachers, they had an oral tradition that was passed down from one generation to another for centuries, for millennia. There are cultural formulas and there are ceremonial formulas that actually work to keep you safe and to provide a really good context for you to have a positive journey. So there's that, okay? You want to ask people about their lineage, okay? That's where the ceremony comes in. Who taught you? Who did you learn from? What are your values? Those are really important things. Just asking what their ceremony looks like. Me, for example, I do a drum journey, I do training with breathwork and yoga. I take people out for a medicine walk around the city so that we can get to know each other and we can actually use the medicine wheel in action. So that is our shamanic tool number 1, the medicine wheel, spiritual compass. It's a 4-direction diagram that's been found all over the planet. Anyone who's an earth honoring person is probably going to have their version of the medicine wheel. Why? Because there are 4 seasons, there are 4 elements, there are 4 directions. So because of that, anyone who's paying attention to the earth and who's paying attention to nature, they're probably going to have a medicine wheel. So we use the medicine wheel to train people in Shamanism 101. You got to have a language, you got to have some skills and tools to be able to communicate with the language of spirit. Grandmother Ayahuasca doesn't speak Chinese or English or Spanish, she speaks symbolic. And it's the same with most plant medicines. It's essentially the language of the spirit world. Is kind of joke and say it's spiritualese, but it kind of is. Everything is symbolic. Everything has multiple layers and levels of meaning. And in order to really be able to appreciate what that medicine is trying to say to you, you actually need a guide and some training. So the next thing I would ask if I were you looking for a ceremony is, how many people are coming to this thing? Where did you find them? Did you background check them? Who screened them? How many of them have done their spiritual homework? What are most of the people attending your ceremony like? In my case, I have a really heavy influence of yoga teachers, martial artists, and people who are into sustainability and meditation. Those are the main categories of people that I end up with here. And that's worth knowing to see if you're going to be amongst like-minded people. You don't want to be sitting next to a person in a ceremony who is just uncleanly or hasn't done their spiritual work, or they're going to be a disruption, or they're just there to trip, I mean, we get so many people who are like just looking to trip, and I just screen them right out because they're nothing but a nuisance. They're not going to do their work. They're probably not going to be supportive to you as another member of that community because they're just looking for a thrill. So we look for people who are really serious about their spiritual practice and who have a deep respect for the plant medicine. And then even so, we screen them in their intake forms, and there's a whole process. So if you want a good quality ceremony, you want to know that your leaders are doing that type of thing and have that level of professionality and regard for their integrity and for yours. You're taking medicine that's going to actually take you into another layer of consciousness. The spirit world, dead man's vine, ayahuasca, so you're going to the spirit world and you're going to be laid out, you're not going to be in your senses, and you really want to know that you feel safe. So Our ceremonies are women-led, women-run, that's me. And, you know, I used to have assistants, but now I just completely do it on my own. So there's another question you want to ask. You want to get a feel for how they run their ceremony, okay? Tip number 3, ask where the medicine came from, okay? You should never ingest anything that you don't understand what's in it. And that medicine person, or whatever they call themselves a shaman or a spiritual leader, that person should be able to give you a very quick and solid answer about what's in that medicine. Here, we're only working with a CAPI and with a DMT component. So 2 simple ingredients, that's all you get. You also get a cacao ceremony, though, because that's a really good heart opener, and we sit around and have a drum journey and drink cacao, and it's really pleasant. The more people can get to know each other who are coming to ceremony together, the better the results are going to be for everyone, because a lot of this is about friendship and trust, honestly. All right, so tip number 4, are you ready? The 4th, but maybe most important thing that you guys should be asking is support. Do you have support? What does that mean? Before, do you have support? So are there training materials? Is there a list of resources that I can have so that I can get a feel for who you are, so that you can kind of instruct me on how things work? We keep a really extensive resource list, as well as some films that we've made and educational materials. So if you're coming here, you get an entire package, and that's really important. The more knowledge and work you have under your belt when you come to ceremony, the better, okay? The other aspect of support is community. We provide you with a Facebook tribe page. We also have Zoom calls every week where we get to know each other. You know, we get to hang out with each other a little bit. People get to process. New people can ask other people who've attended ceremony, hey, what's the deal? And of course, everyone's going to be nice to my face. Just kidding. No, they give honest, solid answers to the people's questions. You know, ayahuasca isn't always an easy thing, but it's a beautiful thing. And when you have good compadres around you doing the ceremony, it really helps a lot. So community is a key piece. Education, processing. You're gonna wanna have the ability to process either with people from your ceremony, a therapist, but it has to be a therapist who's open and knowledgeable about plant medicine, and that's not just everybody. Or you're going to want to have access to private services afterwards, and then you also have the free Zoom calls. Not many people are doing that much about aftercare, and that's kind of how I got started in this business. There were people rolling in from having done ceremony in South America, and they were a little tweaked out, and they didn't know how to handle the experiences they had had. You know, they went down to South America. They had a shaman who might or might not speak English, might or might not speak Spanish, depending on how far into the jungle you go, right? So how is that medicine person going to be able to help you personally? Well, those people kept on showing up on my doorstep, and they were looking for help. So we started sweating them. We started doing community events, kiva lodges, wachuma, and we eventually geared up to work with our ayahuasca lineage once again. So processing is going to be really important. That might be one of the key pieces. So make sure that you journal, okay? Make sure that you do your yoga. Make sure that you do a spiritual practice and gather your personal power each day. I like to do breath work. And yoga, and long, long walks, and painting. So that's how I process, but everyone processes differently, and you want to make sure that you have a plan for that, okay? So the 4 things, remember: 1, ask the person about their lineage and their training. 2, ask about how many people are attending and how they found them. Did they screen them? 3, ask where the medicine comes from and what's in it. 4, ask about support and community, okay? Those are my tips to you guys with lots of love. I hope I get to meet you and see you soon, but even if I don't, have a lovely journey. Bye for now.